This, welcome everyone.
Oh, we're a little fuzzy.
Yeah, welcome everyone. This is More Than Money. I'm Mark Manella.
Stephen Balance.
And we're glad you're with us. You know, we are doing this with a purpose. And that purpose is that at the end of the show, our hope is that you will have more joy in your life. I know that sounds strange, but more joy from getting past some of the anxieties and frustrations of finance and onto a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ, where all good things come from. So that's our goal in this show as well as every show, and we're hoping that it does come true. We do have a couple things I'd like to share with you up front. The symposium is still going on.
Yeah.
It's still being planned, the Christian Investor Symposium. It looks like it's going to be hitting in November. We'll give you an update as we go. And you can ask questions all through the show by texting us at
314-384-8438. And that's one method of getting a hold of us.
Method.
You can get a hold of us instantly during the show.
We got a little computer here just waiting for your
Yeah.
text if you have questions for us.
You could always call in 314-212-1405 if you want to get a hold of us throughout the week.
Yeah.
You can email us, contact@mtmministry.com. You can message us on Facebook, but this is the fastest.
Yeah, and today you're going to want to stay tuned because this is a QA day. This is one of those days.
Yeah.
We're actually repeating the show from last week because the audio didn't come through.
Yeah, sorry
so
about that.
same questions, and so it won't be as exciting for the two of us because that spontaneous question stuff is much more fun than rehashing something. But hopefully it'll be important to you. Also, one last notification is that starting in October, the second week of October, we're going to be broadcasting 2 days a week.
Yeah.
Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. 11:30 a.m.
Central Time.
That's Central Time. So that'll be really nice. No more Wednesdays, but Tuesdays and Thursdays at an earlier time. A lunchtime when you're available. What a concept.
Yeah.
And with that said, we're going to move on to our questions and answer.
So again, our texting number. We actually had someone text us a little while back. And they had a question that I guess I never really put a whole lot of thought into. We won't say his name, but the gentleman asked if he had a little extra money, say for instance you have a bonus at work, what should he do with it? Should he invest it? Should he maybe throw it into savings, credit card, average guy, card payment, credit cards, things like that. Mm-hmm. So, if you have extra money, what should you do with it?
Right, and that brought up some thoughts for me. First of all, it's great if you got extra money. That's always great.
Yeah.
But it sounds like this is a one-time thing.
Yeah.
And that's not unusual for most of us in America. Is that we don't have a lot of extra money to go into savings. Maybe we don't have a retirement plan set up at work, a 401k or our own IRA or whatever. But we want to do these things because we want to feel like we're making progress and we're building a foundation. But the reality is that makes me think about there's one thing more important than that, and that's building the moat around your castle. Because if you put money into retirement plans or into savings or something like that, trying to just get money accumulated so you feel like you're making progress towards that great retirement concept, but you don't have a moat around your castle, then very often, that money will end up being used for things like emergencies. What the moat around your castle is that liquidity. It's that financial buffer zone.
Oh, okay.
The buffer zone. And I think of the buffer zone almost like a bulletproof vest. It keeps you from debt attacks.
Oh, I like that.
It protects you from debt attacks. So what the buffer zone is really made up of two different parts. There's it's all primarily occasional expense, but there's actually two different parts. Occasional expenses, like think about things that happen less than monthly.
Car repairs,
home repairs,
vet
taxes, vet bills, things like that. Those things that don't happen systematically, like your rent or your car payment, things like that. But that Christmas, presents,
every
weddings. Birthdays, holidays,
Yeah.
All those things that just take money out of your vacations, and they usually don't get planned for. So when they come around, that you pull out the MasterCard and you put it on that, and then you hope that you get a tax return to pay off the MasterCard, or something like this to do it. So my first suggestion is to use part of that money to seed that, because then you can take care of those. And there's a way to calculate, to estimate what you need for your buffer zone. Along with the occasional expense, you also have those short-term future cash needs. You know, for example, buying a car. You might say, well, my car is already 15 years old. I may want to get something that doesn't cost me $4,000 a year in maintenance, you know. So maybe you want to save up for that and buy a newer car sometime in the near future. Or something like a vacation, which would be a cash need. That would be built into that too. So there's one other aspect of this that is important. Even though you got a lump sum to start that with to maybe cover some of those, you want to be able to calculate what all those things cost, estimate them, divide that number by 12 and say, okay, 1/12 of that should be going into my moat, going into my emergency fund, some people call it, you know. And that way, if 1/12 of it's always going in there, then that fund becomes self-plenishing. And then when your car breaks down, get the car fixed, take the money out, fix it. But then more is going in there to replenish that money. And you set a systematic way to create a buffer zone, a bulletproof vest to keep you from the debt attacks.
Yeah.
And so when that's what that brought that up in my mind all across the board on that. And I hope that helps. Yeah, you know, sometimes it's great to just put a lump sum in, fund your Roth, or do something like that.
Yeah.
But at this point, without any additional information, for most people, I think it'd be good to use a portion of that to get their emergency fund, their moat around their castle established.
A little bit of protection.
There you go.
Yeah. So
keep you from wealth erosion due to debt.
Which is just
huge.
Yeah, I can't stand it. Well, so then to add on that, you mentioned possibly funding a Roth or some type of retirement. That was actually one of our other questions.
Okay.
We had someone text in, and their question was, what's the difference between a 401k and an IRA, or all of the other retirement vehicles?
Okay, well, those are both retirement vehicles. The 401k is actually an employer-sponsored retirement vehicle, meaning your employer sets this up, and when you go to work for them, you contribute to it, and it has tax advantages, and sometimes your employer contributes to it also. An IRA, that stands for individual retirement account. That's something you do for yourself. If you don't have a 401k, or even if you do, you still can contribute at times under certain circumstances and certain types of IRAs. So this is something you'd set up for yourself, an IRA where you contribute to your own retirement plan, and that has limitations and things like that also. And they both have penalties and government oversight and all sorts of things. So an IRA is an individual retirement account which you set up and take care of yourself and contribute to. A 401k is an employer-sponsored account for retirement. Both of them have their merits, especially if look at the 401k, if the employer is contributing to it, say a match, maybe they match 100% of the first 3% you put in, or 6%, that's great.
Free
Nobody
money.
wants to turn that away, right? That covers the cost of the taxes in the future when you pull it out. With your IRA, depending on the type of IRA, you might either get a tax deduction in the year end, depending on your finances, and if it's a traditional IRA, or you may just get rid of all the taxes in the future if it's a Roth IRA. By the way, I prefer a Roth over any type of IRA because a Roth doesn't defer the taxes to the future. I always had a saying, if you got a problem, take care of it, right?
Yeah.
Don't defer it to the future.
That's true.
Tax is a problem?
Always.
So why defer them to the future when you don't have any additional, when your income resources are limited at best, maybe even gone? Why defer taxes to the future? Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
Roth IRA compared to a traditional IRA, and the benefits and concerns of both. Maybe we'll do that next week.
So I know we're running a little short on time, but just one last question for you.
Okay.
So we talked a little bit today about if you have extra funds, what you might be able to do with it, retirement, building the moat. What the common question, what if I don't have extra funds? Because that's what everyone says. You start talking about the future and building, and usually 9 times out of 10, at least in my experience, people say, I don't have the money to do that.
Yeah, yeah. And that's understandable. And there's so many people who are striving to get by day by day. I love all these commercials about saving for the future and your portfolios and all this different kind of stuff. But if you think about the average American that is just trying to raise their kids, put them through school, put food on the table, keep housing, clothing, it's been really difficult. And most people don't have lots of extra money just to throw in accounts here and there.
Yeah.
So, here's the key. Do the best you can do with what God has given you. Whatever financial plan you have, the goal is to maximize it, to get the most benefits, the most wealth, and the most peace out of it, and minimize the risk and the anxiety and frustrations. So wherever God has you, if you're doing all He's enabled you to do, realizing the gifts in your life and realizing the talents and the blessings financially and material, and you utilize them in to the best of your ability, then praise God and realize that He's got a plan for this. Don't be frustrated. God is there. He is for us. If He is for us, not against us. If you're a believer, if you've trusted Jesus Christ for your salvation, you have the one true God in you, and you're in Him, and He loves you, and He's got great plans for you. He's got great works for you to walk in. So the key comes down to maybe you're not in balance with God's plan, and that might be the problem. Or maybe you are, and you're right where God has you to learn something special.
Yeah.
So don't be frustrated. Don't have the anxiety. Just do what you can. And if we can help, you can call us here at More Than Money at 314-212-1405, or you can call me at Integrity Investors, 314-212-1404.
Yeah.
Almost forgot my phone number there. We're here to help. We're here to care. Like we said at the beginning, we want to leave you with joy and peace. We want to leave every show to help you get a little closer to God through your finances, not despite them, by embracing them. So if we can ever do that in any way, we'll feel victorious and that we have done a good thing.
Yeah. And
hopefully you'll feel like you understand the big picture of things, and that's that life is
so much more
than money. God bless everyone.